y dos, y dos, una, y dos, una, y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortes NYC Livestream, the podcast. This is a bi-weekly show broadcasting out of New York City. We are your hosts, Cortes NYC
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on this show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
This is episode 8, In Your Own Voice.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Podbean. Subscribe to our show and please rate and review our episodes. You can also find us on social media under Cortes NYC Livestream on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram.
And a quick shout out to a couple of Instagram followers, Mosh Graph and Smurfy138. Smurfy, what up, homie? Smurfy is a graph writer from New York. He's an old friend of mine and an old friend of the show, especially of the classic Cortes NYC Livestream show, the video live stream.
Yeah.
So, Smurf, it'd be great to have you on this podcast, man. We got to talk about this. Figure how we can have you on here via Skype or something. We can talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get on with this show.
Telling a story with your art. Carla,
Yes.
what do you think about that? Telling a story with your art.
I was thinking that for a singer, it's very important to find your own voice. And more being a singer, you're using your voice to tell a story. And sometimes we tend to imitate a lot other singers. Let's say if we want to sing a song from Alicia Keys, sometimes we want to try to do same style as Alicia Keys. And it's important to find your own style.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think in visual art, I think it's a little, people forget about having their own voice because you're using your eyes. It's a visual language. I think in books, when it comes to literature, people talk about your own voice, having your own voice because you're typing out words.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's an easier thing for a student or a beginner to understand.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're going to be an author of something, you should have your own voice and speak in your own way.
Yeah.
Tell a story in your way. But when it's visual art, I guess that's where it could be a little more complicated because you're telling a story visually, being represented with symbols, characters or things that are symbolic of something.
How to find your signature. How
to find your signature, whether it's a way of composing things or a type of color palette or it's very obvious to say, pick an icon and always do that same icon. But I think I'm going to try to focus this conversation on how to find your voice, meaning content, the subjects that you choose. I think that's what I want to focus on. So why is it important to have a voice? Let's start with that. Why does it even matter?
Yeah. Right?
Well, it matters because I guess, we want to be reminded that there's a human being behind a piece of art. Even the most abstract piece of art, as long as we know that some human put that blotch of paint up on that wall, even if it's abstract, as long as we know that a human being did it, like we kind of get curious, like why did he do that? Or what's the meaning behind it? As opposed to an accidental splash of paint on a wall, Obviously, with some of today's contemporary art that you'll find in modern museums, it's hard to tell what is accident and what is intentional. The lines are blurred, right? Yeah. It's even hard to tell what is art,
That's true.
It's hard to tell what is intentional art and what is just, symbolic, play to kind of get you curious and get you interested, but there's no real intention behind it. Because people have been playing a lot with context and substance and content. So, but I think it's important. If you're an artist, you should know that the person looking for art, even in today's modern times, is still looking for a human being, is looking for an author. They rely on the author to stand behind his work. That's why we look for an artist to have a voice, because when if I like your work, let's say I like your paintings, you do these amazing paintings, portraits, let's say you do portraits of bunny rabbits, and I love them, and they're amazing. But when I meet you, I want to know that you're really into that. I'm assuming that you are. But when I meet you, I don't want you to tell me, it's just some crap I do. You know what I mean? I want it to be your voice. I want it to be like, when I meet you, I'm imagining that you are going to tell me that you love bunny rabbits as much as I love watching you paint bunny rabbits. That's why we need a voice, right? Like, let's use a singer, right?
Yeah.
So let's try to be a little more interactive here. But let's say if it's a singer, let's say Adele. She sings, why do you love Adele? Give me an example. Why do you love her?
Her voice and the style of the songs. They're always, the theme of the songs are always super either romantic or heartbreaking. And the way she sings is always on a top level.
And how much would it suck if you were to go to meet her and she would be like, I hate ballads, I hate love songs, I hate drama songs. I just do this for the money. I really hate all of this. I'd rather be rapping.
Yeah, you'd be like, you lied to me all this time. I feel
like,
so betrayed.
It would destroy the value of the art for you.
Yeah.
Then it's not art anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that happens a lot with singers when they start with a specific style and then they get into the business of music, and instead of making music, they're making songs to sell, and they're making all this like featuring and all this, and they lose their essence. That happens a lot, and it's very sad because you feel like, then where is the person that I first met through that album, let's say. Well, and I guess it's the same for artists, for visual artists.
And I think that's where, even with musicians, the musicians that you really admire in the long run for their artistry are musicians that prove that it is their voice.
Yeah. That
you're following their voice, you're following their content, the subject matter. Again, don't confuse voice with their actual voice. Voice with their intentional content. Yeah. The message they're trying to send out.
The message behind the voice.
Exactly. So back to visual artists. Now that's a good contrast. So back to visual artists and their voice. Why do we want a visual artist to have a voice? For the same reason, more or less, right? But with visual artists, there's another level to it. A lot of times, so a musician, you see them perform. That takes care of a lot of this convincing us that it's their voice. You know what I mean? By watching them perform it, that fills in like half or a little more than half of the information for us. Yeah,
because it's real, it's them. When you see them perform live, then you see that what you heard on the album is the same.
Exactly. And that's why we still like to see live performances, because it proves to us, quote unquote, that there's a voice behind this. Yeah. And that's why we feel betrayed when it's a lip syncer, right? We feel betrayed.
Every single time.
Exactly. So with visual art, we don't have that performance. That's why visual artists have to work a little harder to convey their voice to the viewer. There's certain scenarios where you can see a visual artist painting live, but for the majority of the times, what we're seeing is their finished product. Yeah. We're not seeing the person behind the canvas, behind the painting. So we're not really seeing the intentions of the artist and all that. So we have to read into the painting and kind of understand what's happening within the painting. And we have to see a body of work. We have to see one piece to the next piece to the next piece to kind of begin to develop an understanding of their voice. And if an artist, doesn't display some sort of intention or voice behind their work, it starts to fall flat, and you become distrustful of the artist and of the artist's work. So a voice is important for that. It creates identity. It creates branding, but identity more than anything.
And it needs to be authentic.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's some of the reasons why, having a voice is important. Controlling your substance, your content is important. Now, why should art say something? Like why can't art just be art, right? A lot of artists, when they're starting, they don't want to explain their pieces. They don't want to describe what they do. They feel, for whatever reason, intimidated or shy, or they feel like the conversation would be awkward to have with the viewer. But why should art say something? Why should a piece of art say something? I could imagine an answer to that would be, you need, if your piece doesn't say anything, it's just decoration. It's just a pretty picture. It's just a bunch of colors. It's just, if your visual art doesn't say anything, doesn't have anything to say, then it's just a decoration. It's just a craft. It's just something that somebody did. You're very good with the paint. Very good piece. You do a great job with the paint, but it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, and I feel that visual artists, they have a little bit more of responsibility because it's visual. So it's something that anybody can see, and if you create a message with your piece, then maybe you can educate other people into a theme or something that you really believe in. And art is sometimes it's easy to understand for people that maybe they don't have the background education, that you have to be aware of this.
It's true. Art can inform. Yeah. Basically, it can give you new information. Now that, I like what you said when you said something you believe in, right? Don't some artists feel intimidated to put their beliefs out there? If you do political art, mm-hmm. It could be a little intimidating because you're going to end up being confronted by somebody eventually. If you do political art, eventually somebody's going to have some shit to say about what your opinion was. Yeah. If you do erotic art, that somebody's going to confront you and be like, why are you painting naked people? What's up with this? What's up with that? I'll give you one example. I did some character of a girl, and I made her all shapely. I was modeling it after some pinup girl. So she had like big breasts, big butt and all that. And somebody came on and made a comment, oh, why do you have to draw them like that? That's not what real women look like. That's a misrepresentation of blah, blah. And I was like, that wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to represent all women ever. I was just drawing something but that will happen. And that makes some artists feel intimidated to put themselves out there. But I would tell you, my advice is fight that. Go against that. Embrace it. Realize that if your art creates conversation, then you are doing something right. Mm-hmm. Art that is just decoration has no conversation attached to it, other than, oh, look how pretty the wallpaper is. Oh, that's a pretty color of a wall painting. Oh, look, this room is nice. It's all blue. It's very nice blue. That's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at superficially, if it has nothing to say. But if your art conveys something, it'll start a conversation. It should start a conversation. And that's what you should be looking forward to, even if it's a difficult conversation. So something you believe in. Once again, just keeping on that statement. Art should be about something you believe in, or it could be about something you believe in. It can be about something deep, like something you believe in, something very central to your personality and your character, or it could be just something that you really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Let's say if I really enjoy painting fish, portraits of different kinds of fish. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean I believe in fish. Yeah. It just means that I really enjoy painting fish. I think fish look really cool. I'm very curious about fish, whatever, right? But eventually, if this is your career and you're spending your entire life painting fish, people's perception of your voice is going to be that you are obviously into nature. There's going to be assumptions made. You're into nature. You are into marine life. And this is going to spark conversations between yourself and the people enjoying your art that eventually will lead into your work developing, evolving into having maybe possibly content about things that you believe in related to that subject matter. Mm-hmm. So even if it's in the beginning, your subject isn't something that you believe in passionately because it has no political movement or social movement, as long as it's something that you really enjoy, your movement or your beliefs will come out eventually through your work. Another example, in my life, I've been doing graffiti, I've been doing skulls and that kind of thing, and kind of like a street art, kind of like a tattoo-y kind of style, like a tattoo art, skate art type of thing, that kind of vibe. And I've been doing it for so long that eventually people just assumed that my personality is a certain way.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I eventually with conversations and meeting more people, you start to realize the things you have in common with certain beliefs. And you realize that you are aligned with certain beliefs. And then, you know, I've done some political pieces, or, you know, I'm not afraid to, I don't hold back. You know, I will do a portrait of something or make some sort of political statement in a piece. And people connect that together with my street art background, and they mix those things together, and they develop a sense of my voice, of who am I? You know what I mean? I'm this quote unquote street artist with this anti-establishment mentality, and, you know, they already make assumptions about who I am. Some of those assumptions are a little bit true. You know, eventually, if you're painting this stuff long enough and you're in this kind of vibe, yeah, it's kind of true. So, but it's something that you should be embraced. You know, you should embrace it, and you will be embraced by people that share, you know, that voice with you, and that enjoy and support your voice and promote your voice. So that's other reasons why a voice is important. Otherwise, you'll just be a lonely little artist somewhere painting, you know, rabbits for no reason. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, another thing is, you know, art, we were saying art can challenge a viewer, right? Your voice they can challenge a viewer in the sense that it can challenge somebody who has a different view of, or a different voice than yours, right? But it can challenge a viewer. Your visual art can challenge a viewer if they don't know your subject matter to do more research. And that's something that you should also embrace. And another reason why you should have a voice in your art. A good piece of art will challenge you in a way that'll make you curious, and it'll make your viewer think, well, okay, this guy's painting fish. That's an interesting fish. I didn't know that fish existed. Wow, that's oh, those fish are really that color? Let me look into that. Where does that fish exist? You know, like, it can start to trigger that. That's something else that your art should have. You know, it should challenge your viewer. It should make them explore more. You know, this is what people look for art for. People are, you know, it sounds weird, but people look at art because they're bored. Because they don't want to look at a blank wall, right? So they look at art because art gives them information. They're looking for information from you. Another thing to think about as far as like your voice is, you know, your visual art, it should speak for you. So think about it like this. If you just did a pretty picture and you're not there to talk about it, to defend it, or to explain it, you should put enough content into your work that it can speak for you when you're not there. That when somebody just sees your piece of art, it says a little bit about you as a person, as the painter, and about the subject that is in the painting. So, you know, even though visual art is a silent medium, it should still speak for you when you're not around. And you should consider that when you do a piece. You should consider, is this piece speaking for me? What would people say? What is it saying about me when I'm not around? And it should be a clear message. Even an abstract piece of art delivers a clear message to the viewer. Think about that. Also, another reason why you should have content in your work, and this is something that maybe Carla, maybe you can chime in a little bit. But art that has no voice or content is easily forgettable. You can forget about it. The minute you heard it, you already forgot about it. And I mean, there's plenty of examples of that in music. Mm-hmm. Where you might have a song or something, right? That was amazing and really deep for a minute, and then you realize there was nothing to it, and then by next year you forgot it.
You just forgot it. Like, sometimes it happens, a song can come out and they play it so much in the radio that you're like, oh my god, yeah, I know this song, I like it. After a year, you'll be like, I don't even know what the song was talking about, because it really didn't touch you. Like, it was so general and so it was the same as other songs,
right?
So you don't hear the difference. Like, you don't hear something that will remind you of that song in another time. And I was thinking about art also, these pieces that they have in the MoMA, some pieces that are, when you were talking about abstract art, some of the pieces that are just, let's say, a red rectangle, and it's just a canvas that is painted in red.
Yeah.
Those pieces, I think, I mean, I cannot judge what is art and what is not.
Yes, you can. You have a voice too. You have an opinion.
Yeah, but for me, right, those kind of pieces are like pointless because you just have a wall basically painting red. So basically the wall that I'm looking at right here, that is like of white, I can say, oh, this is a piece of art, but it's saying nothing. It's just off white. Yeah. So I think some of those artists also, they lose their voice because just because your piece is in the MoMA, it doesn't mean that it's saying anything.
Yeah. I mean, or it might be saying something. It might be a conversation between them and people that are not us.
Yeah.
And that's a criticism that modern art has gotten, is that it's elitist. It's a conversation between an artist painting an elitist concept or elitist voice to other elitists. It's not really for the masses.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, that happens also in music, classical music, avant-garde music, things like that. You know, there's some music that just is not going to reach you. It's not going to reach, a wide audience. All right, so closing this out, I think my last portion of this conversation is going to be about, so how do you find content? Everybody's probably racking their brain out there listening to this conversation saying, okay, Chris, all right, I got you. But how do I find my voice? How do I find content? Well, I've heard this so many times told to me from different mediums, from comic book artists to writers to musicians. When you have this conversation with artists, even actors, especially actors, they say you find your content within your own history. You know, your own history, your own background is going to give you your content that you need. You need to do your own digging, your own soul searching, and you have to be self-aware. You have to have knowledge of yourself. You have to be aware of who you are in order to be a good artist. And that equals finding your own content, being aware of your own content. You have to be aware of this. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up? What's your family background? How does this impact you? What's your impression of it?
Yeah, because now once you know yourself, you know what are you good at. And once you know what are you good at, I think it's going to be easier. And this is for musicians, singers, and all kind of creatives. Sometimes you have to think outside the box, but sometimes thinking inside the box is actually very helpful for when you need to think outside the box. Like sometimes we have things that we need to explore our creativity within ourselves and maybe within the things that we live through. And then we can actually try something new after we do, let's say, excellent in the thing that we know already.
Yeah, I mean, obvious content generated from your past history would be like something tragic. That's typical what people think of. Something tragic happened in your life, and now that's what you're going to paint about, or that's what you're going to write about. If you were in an accident, in a severe accident when you were little, now all your pieces are going to be about trauma, and or if you're an actor, you're going to use that trauma to make your acting so much more passionate and emotional. If you're a singer, you're going to use that trauma to. All right, that's obvious. But I think you don't have to be traumatized in order to have content.
Yeah.
You can just think about your life and think about some of your experiences and frame these things as an artist would frame them, and think, what is the meaning of maybe your upbringing, of your family? What is the meaning maybe of your first relationships that you had, your first girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever it might be? What was the meaning behind that? How did it start? What did it feel like? How did it end? Those things can trigger cues to content, to a theme. And you can use that, and it's your truth. You know what I mean? Simple things like, if you want to go away from family and touchy things, go into current events. You just because you see current events and you're angry doesn't mean that you have to just literally do a portrait of a politician or something. You could also just use some of that maybe those feelings, whether it's anger or confusion or frustration, and use them towards creating and generating art that has content and has meaning. I think that, you know, your experiences are your primary source for content. That's your main source for content. Outside of that source for content, obviously you can look at music, books, and other things. We've covered this in other episodes, but you can look at for inspiration all around you. But if you're looking for your own voice, you're looking within you. And that's what your primary source should be. For your voice is look inside of you. Look inside. And then, I mean, along with this, you know, I would say I've done personal projects and I've done commercial work. I think even when you do commercial work, when you're hired to do a project that is, you're speaking for somebody else. You're speaking for a corporation. You're speaking for a musician because you're going to do a logo for them or a piece of art for them. Maybe you're speaking for a company because you're going to do an advertisement for them, or you're making a design for them. Your personal experiences will also inform those projects. If you're not putting your personal voice, even a touch of it, even if it's just a little dash of it, into your commercial work is not going to be effective. It needs to have a personal voice as well. So any of you commercial artists out there or illustrators out there that are thinking, well, that doesn't mean me. Yeah, it means you too. You also have to use your voice, and it'll make you a better illustrator. It'll make you a better designer, because it'll inform people what is your style. Style is another big umbrella statement or a way of describing personal voice. It's style. A lot of us call it style. That artist I like his style, or I like what he does because it's cool, right? Well, that's his voice. His voice is cool, or his voice is angry, or his voice is inspiring, or his voice is uplifting, whatever it might be. But yeah, so that even commercial artists, you're not off the hook. You also have to express yourselves, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna take you. It's gonna be, people are gonna recognize you because of that style that you have.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we covered a lot right there. I think I've said it in a previous episode. You know, I found I discovered this concept of having your own voice through my father, watching him play guitar and sing. You know, he would definitely take a cover song and you know, typical traditional cover song, and like inflect his own voice into it and really, you know, give a message out. Even the songs he chose to sing, you know, he's very good at like picking the right song for the right mood at the right time that'll get people's attention. And that's I mean, that's something that you want to strive for. I think that's something that really gives you your signature, your authorship, you know, just like a director would in a film.
Estás haciendo todo igual, no tiene ningún color el paso que hace. Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 y 10.
Culture talk. Culture talk. My favorite part of the show, because I get to sit back, let Carla do all the work, and talk to us about culture.
Yes, so today on this episode we're gonna be talking about Colombian stereotypes, cliches, and misconceptions.
Carla's revenge for last episode.
I have to.
Last episode we had Puerto Rican cliches and stereotypes, and Carla was heated.
Yeah.
She was heated.
I know. I was like, oh my God. But now we're gonna discuss Colombian stereotypes, and like always, these stereotypes, they come because this is what is being shown in media, magazines, the representations that we have of Colombians in mass media in the United States.
It's very poor.
Exactly. So that's why all these stereotypes are out there.
All right, hit me.
So the first one, all Colombians sounds the same.
All Colombians sound the same. No, that's completely false.
Yes, it is completely false. I know that they use this one Colombian for every movie that they're gonna make about Colombians.
Because every movie they make about Colombians is about drug dealers.
Exactly.
So they're gonna use all the Medellin accent.
And they think that all Colombians have this accent from Medellin.
I'm not gonna do the accent, but
I know.
you looked at me like, like ready, Chris, go. But you guys know the Colombian accent, especially like Spanish speakers. You know the Medellin Colombian narco accent.
You know the difference.
The parcero and all that. They use all the slang that you know.
Yeah, so this is one of the stereotypes that is obviously not true.
It's not true. Colombia's so let me just quickly. Colombia's very big. It's got many cities. That's like saying all Americans sound the same. The American from New York sounds the same as the American from Miami, or the American from Kentucky, or the American from Colorado.
Texas.
Yeah, and that's not true. That's how silly you guys sound when you guys think that all Colombians sound the same. Colombia's huge. There's Caribbeans, mountains, and
and then the cities.
Yeah, and the big cities.
Yeah. So going into that point, we have another misconception or misinformation, let's say, and is that Colombia is a Caribbean country.
Colombia is not a Caribbean country. Colombia is a huge land.
Thank you. And it's part of South America.
It has 2 coasts.
Yeah. And this is another misinformation that people think that Colombia is a third world country. And it's not.
Colombia is not a third world country. There's many third
I
world
think that
areas.
I think that right now the economy in Colombia is even better than here in the United States.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the details.
But I know that it's not.
It's not a third world country. I mean, in the global scale, they might. You know, it depends who you're talking to. But you know, if you're going based on the European, you know, Asian scale, yeah, you know, they see all Latin America as third world. You know what I mean? They see anybody who doesn't have a powerful military as third world.
Yeah.
You know?
But it definitely is not. Colombia has cities. Colombia has countryside. It's a big country. So then I have another one. That all Colombian women look like Sofia Vergara of had plastic surgery.
I wish they all looked like Sofia Vergara.
You'll be married to a Colombian.
Exactly. No, well, okay, so what do you think?
It is true that I don't want to say it is true, but there have been cases of plastic surgery in Colombia because Colombia it's a country that has a lot of doctors that do this kind of works. But this doesn't mean that Colombian females are the one getting the job done. If they have the doctors, maybe they have other females going to Colombia and getting the job done.
Well, okay, so so there's 2 things there. One thing, yes, Colombia is known as a vacation place to go get your plastic surgery done for Americans and Europeans because you can get it done cheap. But yes, within my circle of friends and family, yes, some of the women have had stuff done.
Yeah, I mean,
so I can't say that it's not complete. There's some truth behind it. It's just a bad stereotype, though.
It is a bad stereotype because it's to say that Colombian women prefer to
be plastic
and to have a plastic body, and I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of Colombian, at least the young generation that I've met, that they're very like natural and that they're good and they feel happy about themselves and their physical appearance.
All right, we defunct that one. False.
Yeah. Okay. So another one that we talked about it a little bit at the beginning is that every Colombian is a drug dealer.
No, we are not.
Obviously not.
But yes, there are some.
Of course, there are some. But this doesn't mean that all Colombians are drug dealers.
Yeah, we talked about that in our previous episode.
We talked about it in the Latino stereotypes episode.
It's a shame. I mean, I had to grow up. My whole life growing up, I always had to be with that stereotype of Colombian. Oh, coca, and people think it's funny, like cocaine, coca, yeah. Colombian snow, Colombian powder, and it's like that's it. Mm-hmm. We have musicians, we have singers, we have poets, we have authors, we have painters. Cocaine. That's what you got. Exactly. That's what you got. That shows me what you see or what you do. If you're an American and you tell me that all you can know about Colombia is cocaine, that tells me that you do a lot of cocaine, and that the only interaction that you've had with my people is buying shit from us. That's what always. That was my interaction. Was like, oh, okay, I get where you're coming from. Then you're a customer.
Yeah.
I'm not a seller though.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing.
It is unfortunate. And now I have another one. That is Colombian are only good at football. So
meaning soccer.
Meaning in sports, Colombia are only good at football, soccer.
Not
and
gymnastics.
That's it. Not gymnastic. Not maybe track. You know, when they run. Yeah. Runners.
I mean, Colombia has all kinds of sports.
Baseball, basketball. Yeah. Everything. And I feel because there is an emphasis on football/soccer in the Colombian and South American culture.
True.
But this doesn't mean if you right now, guys, look into the Olympics, and I think you're gonna see a lot of Colombians winning medals because I feel as Latinos we are very talented in music and also in sports. So I think that this stereotype is definitely not true, and it's something that you have to just be aware and research and look up other sports that Colombia are good at.
Like every stereotype, you got to do some research and find out.
Of course, yeah. So the next one will be that Colombia equals guerrillas and paramilitaries.
That's tough because there's some truth to that. There was a big migration of Colombians to the north, to North America, because there was a big drug problem that was mixed with anti-establishment political movements. There was money being made, kind of like an ISIS. What's happening with ISIS? Same kind of thing. You have a political movement fueled by illegal money being made, funding some of these things, and then obviously weapons being sold to them from North America, from the United States, adding to that, stew of problems. So there is some truth to the fact. There's some truth to the fact that Colombia had a long history of, political problems. But is it the only thing? No. But okay, that stereotype is it's.
And then, in your experience, have you had any other stereotype, like when you say my parents are Colombian or I'm from Colombia?
Well, when I say I'm from Colombia, I used to have the stereotype from other New York Latinas that I would meet, that you're Colombian, you're a cheater. You're a Colombian. All Colombians are cheaters. But then I started hearing that about all other cultures too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
I mean, in my research, looking up for these stereotypes, I came up with one that said Colombian women are easy. So I don't know. I guess that goes both ways. That stereotype.
Yeah, I think.
But I think
hear about that about so many.
About all Latinas, really.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the representation that we have in media. The ladies and the actresses and the characters that we're portraying in movies and TV shows and all this, the majority of them present some like an image of we are so sexy and we are so free and we can do whatever we want. And in reality, it's not like that at all. There's a lot of religious aspects that they don't show in these TV shows that actually makes Latina women feel, I think, like more like they even have to respect more their families, respect more their religious views. So it's definitely not true. But this is some of the stereotypes that I guess Colombian females have had said to them.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard. It depends who you're talking to, but I've heard I've heard stereotypes of Colombians are all short, and I'm like, no, I might be short, and some of my people might be short, but no, there's a lot of tall Colombians too, very tall Colombians.
Look at your brother.
Yeah, I've heard stereotypes like, well, I mean, I've heard stereotypes depending on who you're speaking to. Colombians are uppity; they think they're better than everybody else. And that's not true either. If you get to know enough Colombians, you realize that they're very humble people. You might have come across some douchebags in your past, you know, but don't judge the whole culture based on some of the people you might have met.
And like we said, it depends where they're coming from. Because I think it's the same as here. If somebody from the city, from New York City, goes to another place, they're going to think, oh, because I had all the experience in the big city, I might be a little bit better than you. So when they come, I feel, when they come from Bogota, from over there, and they're from the city, I feel like they might feel a little bit more entitled.
Right.
To say like, hey, but I was from a city and whatever, and yeah, I had my good life, and yeah, I'm here, I'm doing good here too.
Yeah.
But I've met other people from Cali, and they're super humble, super open, like they receive you in their house as if you're part of their family. So it depends who you meet, and you really have to get to know the person also.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, another one that I would say is that all Colombians know how to dance salsa.
Salsa como en Cali.
I went
Como el
como un
brinquito.
caleño. I went to I remember I went to Japan, and in Japan, in Osaka, Japan, I was at a graffiti event, and I met Brazilians over there, Brazilian Japanese, Brazilian half Brazilian, half Japanese people, and they
Well, what a mix.
Yeah, and they were very familiar with Mexicans. They were very familiar with people from Spain, so they assumed that I was from Spain, and they didn't even think of me as American. They just thought I was from Spain, Spanish. And then I said, no, I'm Colombian. They were like, Colombian, and they were like, salsa, we love salsa. And they were dying to take, they were kind of like setting up scenarios to put me in a situation where I had to like show them some dance steps, like, oh yeah, let's just go down the block, let's have a drink. Just so happens that they play Spanish music.
Oh my god.
So that was fun. That was a fun experience, and it you know, it definitely taught me a lot about being outside of the United States, you know, myself, who I am, how people are going to interpret me, and being in Japan and finding out that being Colombian in Japan had more value than being American.
Yeah.
You know, and that showed me that the path that I took and my family took was worthwhile. You know?
Yeah.
It's another topic for another show.
Yeah, that is another topic for another show. So these are the stereotypes that I found out that we shared here in this section. If you guys have any other stereotypes, just comment on the post for this episode, episode 8.
You wanted me to teach you, right? This is street reality.
Ahora sí, hablar español, Carla, háblenos.
Vamos a hablar español colombiano.
What?
Okay, let's start with the art life section. So, voz.
Voz is voice.
Yes.
Voz.
Mensaje.
Mensaje, message.
Substancia.
Wow. Substancia, substance.
Yeah. In Spanish, that word is used more like in the scientific terms, but
Right.
historia.
Historia, history.
Yeah. But it's also used as story.
Yeah.
Even though, because
Cuéntame una historia.
in Spanish, story actually means cuento, but because we're talking about your story, it will be history, like tu historia.
Tu historia. Okay.
Evaluación.
Wow. Like you're going advanced on us.
You have to learn. Come on.
Evaluación. Evaluación. I don't think I've used that word. Evaluación.
No?
No, I don't think I've ever in my life had to use that word. Evaluation.
Yeah.
Evaluación.
Evaluación.
Wow, I gotta practice that one. Evaluación.
Estudiar.
Estudiar I've used many times. Estudiar is to study.
Yes. Investigar.
Investigar. Vamos a investigar algo. I've used that a lot. That's investigate.
But it also means research.
What? Okay.
To do research.
To do research is investigar.
Investigación will be research, basically.
Nice. All right. Learn something new.
Contenido.
Contenido is the contents.
Ooh, yes.
Contenido.
Contenido.
El contenido del mensaje de la película. El contenido de la película.
Yes.
Got it.
Olvidar.
Olvidar is to forget. ¿Cómo voy a olvidar?
No te olvides de mí. Okay, and now we're passing into the Colombian Spanish. What? Que chimba, hombre. Que chimba.
Que chimba. Wait, so you're going to hit me with Colombian slang?
Yeah. You gotta tell me what it means in English.
All right, go ahead.
Que chimba.
Chimba. Chimba means how cool. Like
Yeah.
cool. Chimba is cool. Like if something is que chimba, or you're saying like, wow, how cool. Like how like it's the shit. Like it's
Yeah, que chimba.
popping.
Okay. Tengo un guayabo.
Guayabo, we covered that previously in another episode. Guayabo means hangover. I'm an expert already. Thank you very much.
¿Qué hubo, parcero? Ahí tienes dos.
Parcero.
¿Qué hubo, parcero?
Oh, and ¿qué hubo?
¿Qué hubo, parcero?
Wow, you guys don't say ¿qué hubo? I forgot about that. You guys don't say ¿qué hubo? All right, Colombians say ¿qué hubo? ¿Qué hubo is actually ¿qué hubo?
¿Qué hubo?
Like what happened?
What's up?
Actually, what happened, past tense. ¿Qué hubo?
Yeah. But
Now,
it's
what's
also
up?
like...
No, ¿qué es lo que está pasando? ¿Qué pasa? No, es ¿qué hubo?
Yeah, but it's also like saying hello.
I
Like,
understand
¿qué
that.
hubo?
I
¿Qué
understand that.
hubo?
But literally, first let me tackle it literally.
Well, yeah, okay, then.
Because I can show up to a place and be like, what happened? Or what's up? Like, what's up is
Yeah,
different
yeah.
than what's happening. People
Yeah.
used to say what's happening back in the day.
Okay.
So people used to say what's happening, or they could say what's up,
Okay.
or they could say what's going on.
Okay, so...
But that all means hello.
¿Qué hubo, parcero?
¿Qué hubo? So ¿qué hubo is like what happened or what's happening.
Okay.
¿Qué hubo?
And parcero?
And parcero is like your homie. It's like your comrade, your
Yeah.
mate.
So the next one is guaro.
Guaro. The guaro is short nickname for aguardiente, which is the Colombian drink,
Yes.
the national drink. So aguardiente literally is fire water. Agua ardiente. It's water that burns.
The burns. Mm-hmm.
So agua ardiente becomes the word aguardiente, and then aguardiente becomes guaro.
Pásame el guaro. Dame un guaro. Yo lo mezclé ahí con dominicano.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you kind of slid it over to Dominican. But it's all good. We could all enjoy the guaro.
Of course.
What else you got? That's it?
That's it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I got a couple for you, some old ones
Dale.
that I grew up. These are words that I grew up with. Chévere.
Mm-hmm.
Chévere is an old one. Chévere means cool.
Yeah. We use it also.
I don't even know literally what chévere,
Me neither.
right?
Yeah. It's just like an expression.
Yeah.
Oh, qué chévere. Sí, eso está chévere.
I
Like,
wonder
how
where
cool.
where that
cool.
comes from. All right, so chévere is one. Means cool. Berraco.
Berraco.
Berraco is something I grew up my whole life listening. Like that's what you wanted to be. You wanted to be el más berraco. Like if you heard berraco and it was pointing at you, you were like, oh shit, I'm the man. What? I did that shit.
Pero también dicen que berraquera.
Que berraquera. Like there was another one, tenaz.
Oh, sí.
Tenaz, like berraco, tenaz. It's just like amp words to amplify a feeling, right? So, but yeah, berraco was one that I remember growing up. Was
It's
a
like
big
you're
deal.
the man.
You're the man. You're like you're the shit.
Or
And-
this is the shit.
or this is the shit, right? And then tenaz is like intense. Tenaz, que tenaz, like what? Like it's tense. Man. You got me. I'm lit. All right, I think that's it.
Yes.
Well, this concludes episode 8 in your voice. I hope you guys have discovered how to find your voice and your own Colombian voice with all these slang words, right?
We hope you learned a little bit.
So next episode is going to be episode 9. Go big. I'm going to be talking about in my art life conversation about painting big murals. What does it take and what can you expect from that experience?
And on Culture Talk, we're gonna be reviewing the movie Coco.
What? Our first movie review.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting. Coco won an award, right?
It won the best.
Multiple awards, no? Or one?
It was, I think, it was 2. Best animation and best song.
All right, so I'm going to looking forward to reviewing that one because I saw it once. I liked it, but I think this time we'll sit down and really carefully analyze it and
Yes, we'll
share that
go
information.
point by point. And like always, we're gonna be
Hablando español.